hat gerade der Marsch für Julian Assange, gestartet. Hier seht ihr seinen Papa. Es gab heute leider keine Entscheidung. Der Mann mit der Cappy ist ein Verteidiger aus den USA, der die Verteidigung in den USA antreibt, ein Anwalt. Und die Stimmung ist betrübt, weil heute gab es leider keine Entscheidung. Und der Kampf geht weiter für Julian Assange. Er ist noch nicht frei, wir müssen weiter kämpfen. Also ihr seht alle, wie gefasst die Menschen hier, sein Papa und Stella sind. Das heißt, man hat ein wenig damit gerechnet, dass es heute zu keiner Entscheidung kommt. Ja, vor mir sind auch nochmal ganz viele Journalisten, die im Schritttempo voran, Fotografen. Und ja, wir müssen einfach weiterkämpfen, für die Pressefreiheit einstehen. Bitte teilt diesen Stream, damit die Welt mitbekommt, was hier heute in London los war. Denn es gab sehr, sehr wenig Mainstream-Presse. Und wir sind in London. Heute war der zweite Verhandlungstag mit der Frage, ob Julian in die USA ausgeliefert wird. Leider gab es heute keine Entscheidung. Aber nochmal, ihr seht, wie gefasst sein Papa ist, wie Stella ist. Das heißt, es wird heute nicht wirklich mit einer Entscheidung gerechnet. Es gibt viele Demos in Deutschland, informiert euch.
Julian Assange! Free, free, Julian Assange! Free, free, Julian Assange! Free, free, Julian Assange!
Denkt immer daran, Julians Freiheit ist auch unsere Freiheit. Ist Julian nicht frei, ist keiner wirklich von uns frei, vor allen Dingen nicht die Presse. So, ich laufe mal kurz ein bisschen vor. Sir, can you help me up here? Sorry? Can you help me up here?
Okay.
Thank you.
What country are you from?
From Germany.
Sprechen Sie Deutsch?
So, can I hold your hand? Ah! Can you help me, please? So, also es ist voll in London. Super, das sieht gut aus. Ich glaube, ein Obdachloser hält gerade meine Hand, damit ich euch hier einen Überblick verschaffen kann. Ja, das sieht gut aus. Okay. Dankeschön. Dankeschön. Moment, ich versuche ihm noch mal ein bisschen Geld zu geben. Thank you. So, ich laufe mal mit euch wieder nach vorne. Ich war vorhin im Gerichtsgebäude, nicht im Gerichtssaal, weil da gab es keine Chance. Ich war kurz in dem Gerichtssaal für sozusagen Journalisten. Da ist zufällig ein Platz frei geworden. Da durfte man leider keine Filmaufnahmen machen. Aber ich habe Stella Assange, Entschuldigung, sozusagen auf der Toilette getroffen. Und Ich wollte sie natürlich dort nicht mit einem Interview belästigen und sagte einfach nur Stella, stay strong. Und sie hat sich dafür bedankt, machte auf mich einen sehr sympathischen Eindruck und dass sie auch hier ganz vorne mit dabei ist, sagt auch einiges über die Stärke dieser Frau aus. US, UK. Also gestern die Demonstration, es hat mich überrascht. Es fand natürlich eine Demonstration auf der ganzen Welt statt, aber hier vor dem Gericht waren ungefähr 1000 Leute, sehr viele Pressevertreter, aber vor allen Dingen der alternativen Medien. Hier seht ihr jemanden von Auf 1, der auch seit gestern da war. Heute hat es den ganzen Tag geregnet. Aber die Menschen haben ausgeharrt. Wir stehen hier seit 8:30 Uhr Ortszeit. Und der Regen konnte uns die Stimmung nicht vermiesen. Natürlich wären wir alle froh gewesen, wenn hier eine Entscheidung gefallen wäre, eine positive Entscheidung für Julian Assange. Und so bleibt uns nur die Hoffnung, dass Julian freikommt, bevor er im Gefängnis stirbt, denn er konnte an beiden Verhandlungstagen leider nicht teilnehmen, weil es ihm gesundheitlich nicht gut geht. Ja, ihr fragt euch bestimmt, ja, warum wurde denn so viel über Nawalny in der Presse berichtet? Naja, ganz einfach. Er kritisiert Putin und nicht die USA. Also allein daran sieht man, wie unsere Presse funktioniert. Im Irak allein sind aufgrund der US-Aggression wegen dem illegalen Angriffskrieg auf den Irak 1 Million Menschen gestorben. Die USA unterstützen den Völkermord in Gaza, genauso wie Deutschland es tut. Eure Steuergelder finanzieren gerade einen Völkermord mit, weil ich so oft höre, ja, was interessiert mich denn Gaza? Mit deinem Geld wird Blut vergossen. Kinderblut. Mindestens 10.000 tote Kinder in Gaza.
Hello, what's going on? Jared, what's going still here?
Journalismus muss frei sein. Deshalb sind wir hier. Deshalb ist die Freiheit von Julian Assange so wichtig. Hier fragt schon wieder, wer ist das denn? Julian Assange hat Kriegsverbrechen der USA zutage gebracht und sitzt deswegen im Gefängnis. Hier ganz vorne, das ist seine Frau und das ist hier sein Papa mit der schwarzen Krawatte, die natürlich an beiden Tagen hier waren, um ihren Lieben zu unterstützen, dem es gar nicht gut geht. Lasst Julian nicht im Gefängnis sterben. Erhebt eure Stimme. Julians Freiheit ist die Freiheit von uns allen. Auf eine Empore zu kommen, damit ich euch mal einen Überblick zeigen kann, wie viele Menschen sich hier befinden. Kevin ist da, damals KenFM, jetzt Apollut und Hildebrand ist da, die Mutigmacher sind natürlich da und viele andere, Songül war da, also viele Leute aus der Maßnahmenkritikerbewegung sind hier, waren hier und versuchen ihr Bestes, das, was hier geschieht, nach außen zu bringen. Denn wie gesagt, der Mainstream ist still. Sie waren sehr, sehr laut bei Nawalny, bei Assange sind sie sehr verhalten und das hat nur einen Grund. Nawalny kritisierte Putin und Assange kritisierte die USA und das war sein Fehler. Das ist der Grund, warum er immer noch im Gefängnis sitzt. So, vor mir seht ihr Kevan mit der Schwester von Gregor Gysi, die heute oder gestern auch schon da war. Also, viele Menschen setzen sich hier ein. So, das ist Stella Assange, folgt hier auf Twitter. Jeder kann was tun, auch wenn er nur ein Video teilt, ein Post teilt. Ja? Ich komme gerade nicht nach vorne durch, aber das schaffe ich noch, das garantiere ich euch. So, man weiß nicht, ah ja, hier gibt es eine Bühne, Stella wird gleich sprechen und da nehme ich euch auf jeden Fall noch mit. Nochmal, Julian Assange hat Kriegsverbrechen der USA aufgedeckt und deswegen sitzt er im Gefängnis.
Okay.
Wir haben Glück, wir haben einen guten Platz, wenn wir hier stehen bleiben werden dürfen.
Yeah, that's fine, thanks.
Free Assange! And now I want to introduce our first speaker this evening, Richard Medhurst. He's been carrying through the work of the Assange campaign. He's been reporting on the trials, giving readers account of what's been happening in court. Richard. Thank you very much. Look at you! Look at all of you! Look at all of you!
Ich denke, sein Vater wird auch noch ein paar Worte sagen.
I'm kind of sick and tired. I've been sitting all day listening to the CIA argue why, Assange is a criminal and exposing war crimes is apparently a criminal offense. How boring and disgusting that they come into our courtrooms and tell us, that they want to give Julian Assange a walloping. They want to prosecute him with U.S. laws, but no protections under U.S. laws. So you can try him with the Extradition Act, well, with the Espionage Act, but he gets no First Amendment protections. What kind of rubbish is that? What kind of rubbish is that? You need to understand something. A lot of you are holding Palestine flags, and it makes me very happy to see, because these two things are not disconnected. They are connected. The same people that are prosecuting Assange are the same people bombing Gaza.
Richtig, sagt gerade die zwei Dinge, Assange und Gaza, kann man nicht auseinanderhalten. Denn dort geschehen genau dieselben Verbrechen.
This is a war on journalism.
Wo über 100
It's not just against Julian, it's against the
Journalisten bereits umgebracht worden
They make it impossible to get in the courtroom. They make it impossible to hear what's going on.
An
How the hell do they have £1 million per missile to shoot down Yemeni drones, but they can't fix the microphones in the bloody courtroom? What the hell is that? Are you serious? Right, what is this? They really want us to believe they can't fund the NHS, they can't fix the transport, all this crumbling, that they got time to go make wars and kill people? Rubbish! Rubbish! Absolute rubbish! You need to understand something as well. This case, this is a violation of UK sovereignty. The Americans have no business coming here. The extradition treaty says you cannot take someone to the United States. That is what the law says. You cannot send someone to the United States for a political offense. You can't do it. And they're playing a double game here. They think that, we're just going to okay this. No, you guys coming out here, this is an act of resistance. You being here, you raising your voice, you coming out with the drums, chanting, that's an act of resistance. And when Julian Assange was being taken out of the embassy, he said, resist. He said, UK resist. So he asks that of you guys. Do you understand? You have to keep resisting. You have to make your voices heard. Because that's the one thing that they do not have. They don't have numbers. Yeah, they've got money, they've got bonds, they don't have numbers in power. Do you understand? They have no power in numbers. That belongs to all of you. So you have to keep coming out, you have to keep showing your support for Julian and keep showing your support for Palestine. Free Julian Assange! Free Julian Assange! Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Thank you very much.
Hier kommt jetzt der Sohn von Vivienne Westwood, der Designerin, der verstorbenen Designerin.
Vivienne is not here today. She was a close friend to Julian Assange and a long-term campaigner for a free press and against his extradition to the United States for the crime of revealing American war crimes, which included torturing prisoners of war and shooting unarmed civilians, not to mention revealing that the CIA can spy on you through your TV and smartphones. Julian is a lovely man. I've met him. He's a human being revealing the truth for us all. He is a real hero. Julian has been in Belmarsh maximum security prison for nearly 5 years now, and he got married to his partner Stella Assange there. But Julian wasn't allowed to be shown in his Vivienne Westwood wedding kilt, because you could see his painfully thin legs brought about by his treatment, which UN Special Rapporteur Niels Mesler has described as torture. Unfortunately, this issue is not just about the injustice perpetrated to Julian. This is about our collective democratic right to real facts and truth. In a true democracy, the people need unrestricted access to facts and information in order to make informed choices. As Julian has said, the aim of war is not to win it, it's to have a never-ending war. War is a great way to launder the public's money into private hands and to maintain sources of cheap natural resources and cheap human labour for the profit god. Afghanistan and Iraq were great successes for them, and now it's Ukraine, Gaza, and the next project, China. Loads of money rolling in, not to mention for the Western contractors awarded the contracts to repair the damage caused. The fact that Julian is being charged with the crime of espionage is very telling. During times of war, public can disregard the laws of any other countries. Why is our government disregarding our own laws to suit America? What happened to Magna Carta? What happened to habeas corpus? Now I feel even more disgusted to be British. What are you doing to our country?
Fucking it up.
A friend of my mother coined an acronym, a pill called NINSTOL, a pacifier used to control the world's populations. It stands for National Idolatry, Non-Stop Distraction, Organised Lying. The mainstream press is controlled and lies by omission and misinformation. They just don't do reports on something that is being hidden, as in Julian's case. Or when they do report, it has a bias. Now you hardly hear about the war in Ukraine. All the men there with no arms and legs for the rest of their lives. Gaza is just a background story now. All those people buried under the rubble. War journalism is strictly under control these days. No war photographers like Don McCullin allowed to take photos on the front line anymore. They learnt that in Vietnam. The case against Assange is the final end of the pretext that democracy exists. If he is convicted, it is the beginning of darkness for us all. The attack on Julian Assange is also an attack on us. Next time this could be you.
Yes. So, ich sehe schon, Stella Assange steht bereit. Sie wird die nächste sein, die sprechen wird. Das war der Sohn von Vivienne Westwood.
Stella Assange.
Woo! Jetzt kommt die Frau von Julian Assange, Stella.
Wow, you guys are amazing. Not just the turnout this evening coming here to Downing Street, but also over the past 48 hours. It's been incredible. Every time I got to court, I was greeted by this incredible supportive crowd that was cheering us on, and I told Julian all about how much support he has, and also how much attention the media has given this case this time around. The world is watching. And finally, there's a realization about what this is really about, which is an attack on the truth, an attack on the public's right to know, and a country's attempt to further their impunity and their cover-ups and continue to kill with impunity without the threat of a media that will scrutinize them, of a public that will demand change. That cannot stand. Everything turns on the outcome of this case. Whether states can criminalize journalism and put journalists in prison like they've been doing in the UK with an Australian citizen, a publisher who's won many, many awards for his journalism, and they've stuck him in the deepest, darkest hole of the UK prison system and the US threatens to put him in the deepest, darkest hole of the US prison system for 175 years. Shame. Julian's imprisonment is the result of people with too much power who lost the plot, who got power thirsty and are guilty. They know they're guilty and they want to continue to live their lives without any consequences for the crimes they've committed. This case is about whether state crimes can continue unpunished, unscrutinized. Julian's freedom is the only antidote. We don't have a decision today. Julian's life is at severe risk every single day he is in prison. He is a political prisoner. He is the world's most famous political prisoner. We know what happened to the other most famous political prisoner last week. That cannot happen to Julian. It cannot be allowed to happen. The world is watching. Julian has to be freed.
Yes.
Now, whatever happens in the coming days, we can't know. But we can know that we will be there for Julian and be there for our own democracy, our own future, our own ability to change policy, to change decisions, to change governments. Because if there's no scrutiny, we can't be informed. We can't be able to change, make an informed decision about who we elect. Our rights are at stake, but Julian's life is at stake. If he is extradited, he will lose his life. He will be killed. He will be killed by the country that has been plotting his assassination. And the court heard how the United States, under the previous administration, which may be the next administration, had plotted to assassinate him, who had plotted to poison him, who had plotted to kidnap him, who had plotted to rendition him. Shame! Shame on those who put journalists to him. Shame! Shame on those who put journalists to him. We're better than that. The UK courts are also under scrutiny. They have heard about the murder plots against my husband. They are on notice that the country that is trying to extradite him has planned to murder him. They don't deny it. They just change the subject. The whole time we were in court, the other side somehow avoided to talk about what the documents Julian published revealed. They didn't talk about the war crimes. They didn't talk about the 15,000 civilian killings in Iraq that were revealed. They didn't talk about their torture and rendition program. They didn't talk about Guantanamo Bay. They simply changed the subject. Shame. This case is brought by criminals who want to maintain their impunity, who want to avoid the courts. They are the fugitives from justice, not Julian. Julian is justice. He is transparency. He is us. He is the public. And as long as Julian remains in prison, we're all in prison. And they are free. It cannot be. Free Assange!
Free Assange!
Be there for Julian. He would be there for you. He is there for you. He needs to be free. Free Assange!
Free Assange!
In these past 2 days, we have heard nothing new from the US government. We have heard them double down on the same arguments that they've been making for 13 years, and in particular since
Ja, die Dame sagt hier gerade, dass seit 14 Jahren dieselben Argumente von den USA kommen, die auch heute gefallen sind, und nichts ändert sich.
Normal protections for journalists don't matter. We've heard this before. We heard how even though they knew his state of mental health, they knew his risk of suicide, how, oh no, it would be okay, send him here anyways. Now we're seeing that in an attempt to distance the journalistic community from him and all of us. But let me be very clear, this case is about journalism, it is about press freedom. If they make an exception of Julian Assange, the rule will be broken, and no one, no journalist, no publisher, no journalistic source, no media organization can ever be confident that their rights will be respected again. We will see an immediate and distinct chilling effect, in particular on national security reporting. This is absolutely about journalism. We are deeply concerned for Julian Assange's current situation. This is the first time he was granted permission to attend court in 3 years. So the fact that he wasn't there speaks volumes about his current situation. The fact that he couldn't even attend online tells us how he's feeling. I saw him myself in prison a few weeks ago with a broken rib, in pain, and coughing a lot from a respiratory illness. So we're concerned about his physical health as well as his mental health.
Dass
So while this case
Julian
is being
Assange,
decided in
als
these
ihn das
courts
letzte Mal vor
and
2
while
Wochen
the
im
strings are
Gefängnis
being
gesehen
pulled
hat, eine
4,000
gebrochene
miles
Rippe
away in
hatte,
Washington DC,
ihm
this
geht's
man
wirklich nicht
is
gut.
in a prison cell tonight,
Und
some
das wird
a
natürlich
few miles
Fragen
from us
auf,
here.
wie dort
We
im
must
Gefängnis
remember him. We must not let his
behandelt wird.
situation deteriorate further. So we still hope that at this late stage there can be some justice delivered from the British system. The world is watching, and if not here, then Strasbourg. And it is imperative that if these courts fail to protect journalism and press freedom by protecting Julian Assange, it is imperative that his right to appeal to the European Court of Human Rights is respected, that the UK abides by its European Convention obligations, and that no move is made to extradite him whilst that process is ongoing. It is essential. If this country is going to stand for the rule of law, they must abide by their international obligations. And we are here at Downing Street. This is still within the UK's power to do the right thing, but let's not let Washington off the hook. I hope they're watching from across the ocean as well. This is a political case, and if justice isn't possible here in the British courts, our call still remains on the Biden administration to drop these charges, to close this case. A political solution could be found. It is a question of political will. So let's not let them off the hook either. Our call remains to free Assange. And there is only one decision: no extradition.
Ja, sie sagt gerade, es gibt nur eine, und es könnte eine politische Entscheidung sein, wenn die nur genug Druck gemacht werden, und es kann nur eine Entscheidung geben, nämlich keine Auslieferung an die USA und Freiheit für Julian Assange.
As effectively has campaigned as effectively for Julian Assange as Craig Murray.
Thank you, everyone.
Also ich meine, das ist ja der
Absolutely
Bruder
wonderful
von
to see you
Julian
all. And
Assange.
I want to start off by thanking you from the bottom of our hearts, all of you who have stood out in the cold and the rain this last 2 days to support Julian Assange. It's been a really, really fantastic effort. Thank you. And we are a community that shows the sort of democracy that Julian dreams of, where freedom of information empowers people and puts power back from the hands of the politicians into the hands of the people. And I see here people I have been seeing for more than 10 years, people who I saw standing in the cold and the wet outside the Ecuadorian embassy, people I saw day in, day night who have been campaigning. And it has not been without effect. We have turned around public opinion on Julian Assange and on this case. And we have done that to the extent that the establishment now have to listen. And yesterday and today in the court, I sat there in the courtroom, I wish you could all have been there, because firstly, Julian's legal team did a fantastic job.
Sagt gerade, dass die Verteidigung von Julian einen wundervollen Job geleistet hat.
And secondly, I saw something I would not have said in 5 years of these legal processes.
Und das Zweite, was er seit 5 Jahren nicht gesehen hat,
I
zum
saw
ersten Mal.
judges who are actually listening intelligently and paying attention to what the defense says.
Und zum ersten Mal hat er Richter gesehen, die wirklich zugehört haben, der Verteidigung zugehört haben.
And we heard in a UK court, we heard Julian's defense outline the war crimes of the United States. We heard lawyers, eminent KCs, speak to the bench
sagt, dass der Verteidiger gesehen hat, die auch die Kriegsverbrechen
of drone killings, and talk of killings of journalists, and talk of systematic war crimes committed by the United States and its allies, and what Julian has done to expose that. You know, yesterday in the United Nations, the United States vetoed a ceasefire resolution on Gaza, and the United Kingdom, as its cowardly little henchman, abstained alongside it. And we are fighting the same thing. We have here the United States trying to destroy Julian Assange, and the United Kingdom as its cowardly little henchman, keeping him in Belmarsh jail. We will not stand for it. This will not last. It is essential to the freedom of all of us that Julian is released, because he stands for freedom of information and for the right of people to know what governments are secretly doing in their name and with their resources. We are fighting a noble battle, and it is a battle which is turning, and a battle which will win, and it's a battle fundamentally for the very kind of society we wish to live in. Thank you very much.
Pleased to welcome back to the program.
So, jetzt der letzte Sprecher auf dieser Bühne ist ein Anwalt, dessen Namen ich nicht kenne, aus den USA.
Thank you, John. Brothers and sisters, I stand before you in shame for the government that represents me.
In Amerika, aus Amerika aus
verteidigt. The words of President Joe Biden stated on May 3rd, World Press Freedom Day. Journalists, uncover the truth, check the abuse of power, demand transparency from those in power. They are indispensable to the functioning of democracy. He and his administration go forward and say that journalism is not a crime. Those words are ashes in their mouth. The utter hypocrisy of my government shines in that courtroom. And it is incumbent upon us, all of us, to say no to the hegemony of the United States, say no to the Biden administration, and say yes to the freedom of journalists and journalism around the world.
Yes.
Julian must be free. Free Assange. Free Assange. Free Assange now. Thank you all.
Ihr seht hier den Papa von Julian Assange und den Sohn von Vivienne Westwood, der sich ebenfalls für die Freiheit von Julian Assange einsetzt. Und herzlichen Dank natürlich, dass er heute da war. jeden Streamer unterstützt diese Leute. Der Killis hatte natürlich auch, Killismore auch zu finden, übrigens auf TikTok, hatte natürlich auch Anreisekosten. Auf Killismore Shop findet ihr super geile Freiheitsdesigns, die wirklich nice aussehen. So könnt ihr die Leute unterstützen, indem ihr eine Friedensflagge bestellt, ein T-Shirt, ein Hoodie, wie auch immer. Ja, denn wir werden halt nicht von der GEZ bezahlt, keiner von uns, und ich glaube, das ist auch gut so, so können wir frei berichten. Aber wir brauchen natürlich auch eure Unterstützung, und da war jetzt gerade die Rede von Killismore. Ich habe gerade seinen Shop erwähnt. Der Junge stand hier wirklich im strömenden Regen, und ich werde diesen Stream jetzt unterbrechen und werde weiterhin Killis unterstützen. Deshalb YouTube Killismore, schaut rein. Bis bald.